All right, we're here. We are here. Wakey, 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 wakey. Oh boy. Yes, it's still cold. Yes, it's still cold, but at least my hat and shirt match now. Right? How's everybody doing? Let me blow up the chat. So, Florida Tampa. Everybody who's excited for Florida Tampa for the 18th time, raise your hand. Hey Ethan, how you doing? Daniel. I'm good, Ethan. Little sore. Worked out pretty hard yesterday. We're starting to get into the groove here. This is the third night straight of streaming. So Steven says this is going to be interesting. The rock paper scissors of hockey. Leafs don't want cats. Cats don't want bolts. Bolts don't want Leafs. Yep. Hey, thank you, Metal. Says Swaggy draws out tonight. Sturm draws in. Ekblad can practice and travel with the team now. That makes some sense. I kind of figured they weren't going to take Verhaeghe out until he got a goal, right? So now that's a good way for Swaggy to don't put his ass back in. That's good. Hey, Kenneth, Derek, Ethan. Yeah, we've been working overtime. That's okay. Once playoffs start, it's pretty much every night. Now, I don't think the Panthers Lightning series would start at least until the 20th, if not the 21st, because Tampa plays on the 17th on the road against the Rangers. So they're not going to start on the 19th. So maybe the 20th, but probably Sunday. Connor, I can't believe the Leafs still own us. I hate that damn team so much. It just doesn't make any sense, Connor. It's like you would kind of give the, if there were in all the playoff series, you would probably have the Panthers as the favorite over the Leafs as the favorite over the Lightning, but the Lightning might, in some people's eyes, be the favorite over the Panthers this year. It's very interesting, the different styles of play. Hey, Eric. Amanda says Toronto looks faster against Tampa than they did against us. Yeah, they were talking about that. I watched the Tampa broadcast last night, and they were talking about that on the broadcast, how when the Lightning plays the Panthers, the Lightning kind of adapts to the Panther game, and it's more physical and more, straight north and south hockey. And how when they play the Leafs, it's a completely different brand of hockey. The Lightning announcers were talking about exactly that. Ethan says, how do I think the game against Tampa will go? I am not sure, but the possibility is still there that could be for home ice in the first round, which that means that game would be pretty intense. If and it being the last game of the year, and the fact that Panthers are going to have probably 5 days off after that game, if winning that game gives the Panthers home ice, I would expect a hell of an effort, and everybody except for Ekblad and Tkachuk out there. Connor says, love triangle. Watch Ottawa ruin everybody's plans. And Montreal, telling you, don't put money on it, but Montreal is going to beat Washington. Hey, Blair, how you doing, bud? Worst possible result for the Panthers last night. Good job, Blair. You guys get the 2 points and you gave Tampa a point. Well done. Well done. Manny says, I think Kucherov takes many plays off and gets sidetracked because he thinks he can outskill everybody. Panthers should win in 5 or 6 games against the Lightning. I hope you're right. I went over some of the stats a little bit on the members podcast today. Tampa's depth scoring is just way more reliable right now than the Panthers' depth scoring. Even the guys that are our depth scorers haven't been getting very many goals in the last 2-3 months. Eric says Tampa lost on purpose is what you're trying to say. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of obvious how Toronto was like, no, let Florida win against us. It's clear Toronto doesn't want Florida and that Tampa does. And it is what it is. We're the champs. We're already going to have to beat some good teams. One wild and crazy guy. What's the opinion of our backup goalie? Well, not that Vanacek is bad, but when we had Spencer Knight, if something happened to Bob, I didn't immediately feel like that's it, it's over. Where now, obviously, I mean, Vanacek is a serviceable guy. He can win you some games, but where I kind of thought we might have still been able to win with Spencer Knight, or at least go on a long run, I'm not so sure about Vanacek. Hey, thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Yeah, for Kyle to get me a new computer. That poor kid. Unbelievable how that worked out, Amanda. Those cords had been laying there throughout the entire last 5 years of the dog's life. The dogs never tripped on it once. And within 2 days of the dogs being all gone, Kyle tripped on it and just ripped the Ethernet port right out of the damn thing. So it still works, but I use it to, that's the laptop I use to connect the TV to, because the TV's struggling sometimes with the internet. It's weird. Eric says Tampa needs home ice against the Panthers. Yeah. That's going to be a crazy last game if that's what it's for. Metal says, is it a concern that Toronto basically laid down and we barely beat them off 2 iffy goals? Well, I don't know. I mean, look, when the Panthers play a lousy game, we score 2 goals. When we play a really good game, we score 2 goals. I mean, that's just it, right? You know, I mean, Game 7 against Edmonton, 2 goals. I mean, it's just our thing. You know, so I was looking at that today with the Lightning or the Capitals. The Capitals been winning a lot of games like the Panthers did in the President's Trophy season, 7-3, 6-4, stuff like that. Hey, thank you, Blair. Thank you, buddy. Much appreciated. Says, hey, Jaws, what should the lines be for the Panthers? How am I feeling going into the playoffs? So if we're healthy and everybody's there, Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Bennett, Kachuk, Samoskevich, Lundell, Lusterine, and Marchand, and then Sturm with Rodriguez and Greer. Those would be mine. The only question mark there is if Maurice is going to take Greer off the ice for Boquist, but I don't think so. I believe that that's the way it's going to line up. Connor says there's no excuses for the Bolts this year. I think Coop is tired of first-round exits, and the Four Nations victory pumped him up. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to play Tampa in the first round. You know what I mean? Toronto's motivation is don't choke again. Tampa's motivation is, you know, we still got guys that can win a cup. You know what I mean? Tampa's already proven that they can win cups with several of the guys that they still have there. So their motivation in round 1, just worst possible matchup for the Panthers, honestly. Ethan says no Gadjevich. I feel like we need the physicality against Tampa. You only can have so many guys, though, right? I don't think Maurice is going to take Rodriguez off the ice for Gadjevich. I just don't think Maurice is going to do it. Could be wrong. Deadly Flame says, "Hey, Jaws." I was like, okay, we got a point, but not getting 2 points. Yeah, that kind of hurt you last night, Flames. That kind of hurt you last night. That was an opportunity. You got to beat the Ducks with 5 games left, you know. Amanda says, what's the Panthers' motivation? And that's a question I was thinking about too. It's like, okay, you want to repeat, right? But there's no way wanting to repeat is the same motivation as we had last year, which was get back and win, right? You did all that work to get there to Vegas, all the injuries. You had to pretty much figure like the team felt like they would have beaten Vegas if it wasn't for all the injuries. So they have all the motivation last year to come back and prove that it wasn't a spoof, that we belonged. And now this year, there's just no way it's the same motivation to try to repeat. There's the built-in excuse of we've had so many long runs, etc. Just, I hope we beat Tampa. I hope if we beat Tampa, we can repeat. To be honest with you, in the East, I feel like Tampa's the toughest test for us. As long as we don't have to play Montreal, but don't tell Montreal that. I'm just scrolling down because I know I missed some comments here. Blair says Ottawa reminds you of Florida, who made it barely last year and won the cup. Ottawa's not going to be an easy out, that's for sure. Brandon says Bruins fans here, imagine Marshy is healthy, scratched for 51%, and the pick remains the second. No, Marchand won't get scratched. He's been good. He hasn't scored, but that third line in the playoffs, if that's the way Maurice leaves it with him, Lundell, and Luosterainen, that's going to do some damage. Marchand he's been solid. He really has. Yeah, Vasilevsky needs to play like himself. Yeah. Stolarz, though. Hey, Wild's Life. Stolarz really impressed me last night. Silver says Panthers' motivation is making it up the jaws because they picked the worst year to win the cup. Yeah. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth, man? If you listen to the intro to the fight song, when Kyle is at the stream saying the Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup, you hear me in the background. I'm on the floor telling Fluffy I love him. That's where my brain was at when they finally won the cup. So, yeah, you're exactly right, Silva. Blair says the problem is Tampa needs to play better, needs to check better, forecheck. And Tampa can beat you both ways. Hey, Anthony. Tampa can beat you both ways. Hey, man, thank you. Thank you, man. She says, I love Brady Chicken Chuck. He's so damn good. And by the way, I miss the true Chicken Chuck. He makes it so much better. They say game one. So if he comes back from, I'm not going to put the tinfoil hat on. If he's back game one healthy, I'm happy. Vincent says the Panthers never cared about Jaws. They did early, years and years ago, when I first started making the videos, and I was a maniac. And Zito was, or not Zito, Sifu was very active on Twitter. I got a couple phone calls. Yeah, I got a couple phone calls. I wouldn't exactly say I got a cease and desist, but I got a couple suggestive phone calls early on. They're not fans of the channel. We'll just put it that way. I don't know what they would think now, but back then I was a little pissed off, and I had good reason to be pissed off. And so there's that. Metal says Swaggy falling down with the empty net perfectly sums up his season. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Wall's Life. I hope we don't play like that again, how we did against the Sharks. Yeah. But these bad teams find ways to beat teams at the end of the season. Hey, Penty. Swaggy's got a no-move clause. Full no-move clause. He ain't going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. is what it is. And it's especially, I mean, clearly Samoskevich is going to be good enough to make up for, if we move for Hagee, put Samoskevich in that spot, and it's an upgrade, pending finding out how Samoskevich plays in the playoff. There's the asterisk. If Verhaeghe starts putting the puck in the back of net in the playoffs, all is forgiven, right? Man, it says there's nothing wrong with him. He's getting all the chances. That's true. I mean, and that's the frustrating and the funny part. It's just like, it should be a daily meme. How did Verhaeghe manage to not score today? I've just not seen a guy get so snake bit. So I like the fact that now that he got the empty net goal, Maurice is taking him off the ice. I like that. Eric, my prediction at the beginning of the season was for the Panthers to repeat, and I'm not going to back off of that. It would be irresponsible and hypocritical of me to back off of that prediction now. We haven't seen this team healthy since before the Four Nations. So I think they're going to come out and look like themselves in game one against the Lightning. And it's just going to be a matter of how long can they continue to look like themselves. The importance of every goal, every shift, it cannot be understated, because as an example, I think if we got behind a team like the Rangers again 2-1, we probably won't have the energy to come back. If we get up on a team 3-0, we got to step on them and crush them and win that series 4-0. Every extra game, every extra period of overtime, those are going to be the things that make or break the difference whether this team has the energy to repeat or not, in my opinion. Vincent says, we know when lights turn on in your bathroom. Just keep it in mind, Panthers. Yeah, exactly, Vincent. It was a friendly couple of conversations. It was a call from a ticket agent, and then Caldwell called me. That was the second call. Everything was cool, but obviously they were trying to get a certain image going for the team, and I was not that image. Hey, Simon, how you doing, bud? Well, it's too cold for the fishing just yet. It's warming up a little bit today. Next week, we're good. Next week, we're in the 60s. We might hit 70 degrees. Next week, finally, I'm out there fishing, and the podcast will be out there a few times. I hope so. Pente says Tampa will win the cup if they ain't making it. Second pick is Vegas. That's Pente. If I agreed to the extent that if there was another team from the East that I thought could win the cup, it would be Tampa. It'll be Tampa. That's why I kind of feel first round, that's the hardest. That's the best matchup for the rest of the Eastern Conference, because one of Florida or Tampa is going to be gone. Hey, Brandon, Kyle's awake downstairs. He was up a little bit early today. There you go, Silva. Just checked our lines. Verhaeghe is out, and Samoskevich is on the first line with Reinhart and Barkov. Verhaeghe may not get his job back. Come on, Samoskevich. Make it so that he can't get his job back. I think that's going to happen in Pente. The Kings beating Edmonton, I think they'll finally get him. Eric says Tampa averages 4 goals at home. That's why they need home ice. Hey, Ryan. Simon, I think they'll do good enough. Detroit's coming in tonight. They're going to be desperate for points. Are we putting Bob out there tonight? We only got the 4 games left. I think a lot of our motivation is just going to depend upon what happens with Tampa. If we still feel like we can get home ice, get second place. That point that Tampa got last night, that stung. That could be the difference right there. So it says Sturm is centering the third line with Boquist and Erod, and the fourth line has Nosek, Gadjevich, and Greer. Interesting. Huh. Well, Maurice is making sure everybody plays with everybody. That's for sure. Pente. Oh. Yeah, not only did he get a full no move clause, Pente, but they added the no move clause to this season, the last season of the old contract. Yeah, Swaggy needing a night off for sure. Emperor King, I'm rooting for the Kings to finally beat the Oilers. No disrespect to Edmonton, but as a Dolphin fan who consistently lost to Buffalo every year when Marino was kicking it, I know how much it sucks when there's that one team that just you can never get anywhere because you just can't beat that one team. Flames, today is do or die for you. Yep. Bob is in net. Okay. Metal says, I say lose out, let Ottawa pass us. Tampa having home ice might be the dagger. I mean, but I don't think Ottawa can do it. Yeah, Ekblad can now practice with the team, right? I don't know that Ottawa. I mean, we're ahead of them by 4 points. So even if we lost out, Ottawa would need to win 3 of their final 4 games. They've got the Canadians, Flyers, Blackhawks, Hurricanes. But would Ottawa even do it? And that's really the question. Like if it came down to it, we got any Senators fans in here? If it came down to it, and it's the last game of the season, and if Ottawa wins, they get Tampa in the first round, and if they lose, they get Toronto. Who are the Senators picking? You'd have to be pretty silly to actually physically choose Tampa over Toronto, right? That's how I'm thinking about it with Ottawa. Spaceman says Leafs fans are saying our arena was empty. So Spaceman, I mean, it was not a full house, but I don't look at that as anything other than it just, we knew we weren't going to win the division. And, you lost all those games in a row. Everybody's just kind of getting ready for the playoffs, right? Hey, Windy City, you're going to be in the Frozen Four tonight. You got your tickets for $5. Congratulations. Donna says, I was worried Ekblad was going to have no chemistry with the team come the first 2 games, but it looks like you'll be wrong. Well, if they've put Jones back with Mikkola, which is the way it should be, and then because they wanted them to make sure that they develop some chemistry, I like that idea. And I'm sure Ekblad's going to be fine. It's not like he was hurt, right? Panther says, imagine Kaprizov next to Sasha and Rhino. I know it ain't happened, but gosh, I'd love to see it. Yeah, I'm sure there's a number of guys that would love to play on that line. I mean, that's kind of what helped for Hagee get paid, right? Eric says Ottawa would be picking the Leafs, right? Universal Habs, yeah. If Demidov plays for you all, I'm telling you, go beat Washington. Simon, in terms of whether we're going to do the Western Conference games, it just depends on the schedule. We'll be covering Panthers, Lightning, and we'll be covering Leafs and Ottawa. And it just depends on the schedule and the timing of the games if we're able to do any of the Western Conference ones. No, Pente, Montreal is going to beat Washington. It's going to happen. I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens. Now, I just want to remind everybody, at no point did I say specifically this year. I just said that Montreal was going to beat Washington. I don't know, man. Colin says, I swear I don't think Tampa has done well in the division this year. Let's see. We probably could figure that out, right? Let's see. Let's see if this no, I'm looking at the ESPN standings. They don't even show the oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Tampa versus you are correct. You are correct. Who said that? Who said that? Colin. So by far and away, Tampa has been the worst against the Atlantic. They're 9-12-2. Against the Metro, they're 16-2-5. Against the West, they're 20-12-0. Against the Pacific, 11-5. And against the Central, they're 9-7. Good call, Colin. That was not your imagination. I mean, the Metro, they were 16-2-5. And against the Atlantic, 9-12-2. Now, Panthers were much better, 10-11-2. The Leafs in the division were 14-8-1. So it's interesting that those teams, the Canadians against the Atlantic were 18-6. 18-6 the Canadians were again in the Atlantic. Well, Eric, it just goes to show how they're doing against their fellow teams in that division. That's all. It does. It is relevant somewhat. Bender says next season trade Lundell and Verhage first for Kaprizov. No, that's too much depth. We don't have any firsts anyway. It's too much depth to give up. Lundell is quite literally he's just too important for when guys like Barkov and Bennett are out. We just don't have anybody that would be even remotely close to filling that hole. If Barkov is out for a week, you put Lundell up there, and he's not Barkov, but you really don't lose much. Kenneth says, Habs Atlantic champs, welcome to the Metro playoffs. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Kenneth. Yeah, brutally. Although I got to say, I have Dallas beating Colorado in that first round. I just feel like Rantanen is going to be a factor. But I have felt that since the initial trade went down. When y'all traded him to Carolina, my feeling was he was not going to sign in Carolina. I thought he was going to get taken by Vegas, and that Vegas was going to get rid of Colorado with Rantanen. I didn't think about Dallas. So now you got to face him in the first round. That's just how I felt about it from the beginning. Bender says Montreal has a good chance, no doubt about it, but I can see it going both ways. Suzuki is an awesome player and captain material for sure. A lot of it's going to depend on Montembeault, right? This will be his first go around in the playoffs. How's he going to handle the pressure of that? Joe says, I think the Avs will beat Dallas. Cup final will be either Avs versus Tampa or Avs versus us. It could happen. I mean, it still could be 7 games between Avs and Dallas. I would expect that. That's very much like the Panthers versus the Lightning, where either one of those teams, I think, is good enough to win a cup. Yeah, the whole Gensel thing, man. That whole thing, how Carolina did the same mistake again with Rantanen. You got to know your place, you know. And time after time, the high quality players have made it clear they don't want to stay in Carolina. To go through all of that and you lose Nietzsche. Eric says, crazy losing Stamkos, huge upgrade. What's Stamkos' numbers? You know, teams know when a guy is done, when a guy is cooked or on his way to being cooked, right? Nobody sees the players behind the scenes the way the team that they're with. 35, he's played a lot of hockey. I mean, his numbers aren't terrible this year. 27 goals, 24 assists. He's playing still 18 minutes a night. His faceoff percentage has dipped, though, significantly. His faceoff percentage is down to 50%. That's not fantastic. He has remained relatively healthy all these years, but so he's going to end up with about 30 goals. It's not the end of the world. But I guess just, speed-wise, I mean, Gensel has just turned out to be such a good find for them. Al says the NHL would need to start phasing teams out of these less desirable locations. There are plenty of openings in more locations where the players will be willing to play. I just don't know how you're going to go about doing it. Costs a lot of money to relocate franchises, and you really have to want to do it, because it's like an expansion team, but without the excitement of it being an expansion team. So, like when Vegas came in and Seattle came in, everybody was like, it was a lot more excitement versus what Utah did, which just moved the Coyotes to Utah. And it's exciting for the people there in Utah, but for the rest of us, it's like, that's just the Coyotes with a new name, so it's a little bit, it's hard. It's a harder sell. Yeah, Simon, that's going to come next week. He's asking if I'm going to do playoff previews of all the matchups. Once they're set, that'll come. That as soon as some of the matchups are set, I'll start doing them. But we should have about 4 or 5 days in between the Panthers' last game and the first playoff game. So that's when I'll get the playoff previews out. Pente says, I don't know what to think about Rantanen, but I can say one thing. He ain't worth his paycheck. It's a big deal. That was a lot of money. Oh, hold on. Jeez. Amanda says, Montreal are a bunch of scrappy kids that have nothing to lose. So, yeah, they very well might win. I was looking today for the members podcast. I was looking at Washington's wins. They're going to have more than 100-point differential between last year and this year in their goal differential. It's more than 100 goals different. And I just kind of wanted to see, the scores of their games. And it looks exactly like the Panthers' President's Trophy season. A lot of 7-3, 7-4s, 6-3s, 5-4. And then of course they have their fair share of allowing very few goals. But there's been a lot of teams that have been able to score goals on them, and so it's kind of been a bit of a mixed bag for them. And that just really reminds me, remember the Panthers in that President's Trophy season. I mean, 6-3 was like the normal score. It was like, yeah, we allowed 3, whatever, we scored 6. Come playoff time, though, you can't, it's not sustainable. Exactly, Eric. Glenn says, you think I'm right about the league called the Panthers? It got a little funky there, right? It got a little funky there. Benjay says, he's talking about Rantanen. Says his stats are worth the money, but the eye test has had the games he plays horrible when thinking he makes $12 million next season. It's a lot of money. when you compare that to any of the Panthers contracts, right? It's just a lot of money. Exactly, Colin. He says, hopefully Kachuk, when he comes back against Tampa, doesn't do anything stupid. Just skate, Chucky. Just skate. I know you're gonna be excited. You want to get in the mix. No fighting. Just skate. He's got to be practicing now, right? I mean, we're talking about 10 days away. He's supposed to be playing and playoff hockey. Shouldn't he be out there practicing, like hardcore practicing at this point? If he only practiced for like 3 or 4 days, like if he practices, the season ends and he comes on the ice on the 16th and plays on the 20th, he was not as hurt as they made it out to be. You just can't do that coming off of that bad of a groin injury. You just can't do it. Bente says Stammer had a great season last year, but he had the most power play points. Yeah. Hey, JC. So Stammer heated up this season when Nashville was already cooked. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask about, because earlier in the season I looked and he was not good. He's a good power play player, but 5-on-5, not so much anymore. He's a little bit like Lane, yeah. Brutality says, Jaws, though, if the Stars put up a good fight against us in the playoffs with Landeskog coming back, it would be a big deal. No doubt. No doubt. Kenneth says the Peyton Manning rule. The sooner you score, the faster I can get back out there and score again. Excellent point. Pente, you think the Avs will spank Dallas? I don't know, man. I don't know. Hey, Fly Guy. Yeah. Ekblad's practicing. He's allowed to practice now. Bolvar, now he says if he isn't practicing right now, he's not coming back at all. Before the Leafs game, Kevin Weeks said what he was told by the Panthers was that barring a setback, they expect him to be ready for game 1. That's what Weeks said. And we haven't heard anything from the Panthers, obviously. Maurice has only used that he's trending. Craig says, not even butt cheeks for Chucky, just tip pucks at the net. Yeah. Simon, yeah, we're gonna put the pool up. We'll put up the playoff brackets. We're gonna do that for the public members. Yep. Vincent says they say he was rehabbing all over the place and they clearly have a roadmap for him. Right. Maybe he's just been doing it in secret, so nobody saw the fact that he was not all that hurt. Yeah, I saw that, Dietrich. The Panthers shooting rubber rats. The rats at Marchand. Yeah, he kept ducking. I thought that was funny. Flame says, if I was the players of the Flames, I would ask Huska, what's the plan and how will we face against the Wild? Oh, yeah, who got the 2 players back last? That's right. You guys play the Wild tomorrow, right? Is it tonight or tomorrow? There's some good games coming up here. I've considered the Ottawa Montreal game, but that's the only night off I'm going to get with Donna. So let's see. It's a lot of games tonight. Yeah, Wild and Flames is tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. Right. And then that's when Canadian Senators is. Yeah. That's going to be last chance for the Flames, man. Bender says, I hope Chucky is ready to go in the first round and fully healthy because without him, we're in trouble. I don't disagree. Trying to beat Tampa without Tkachuk could be a problem. The fact that we are not actually desperately trying to get Toronto instead of Tampa, you might be able to read that as the Panthers are confident that Chucky's going to come back. Great White says, is Vanacek playing next season or are we trading him? I don't think he's got a contract. I don't think he's got a contract. I think wasn't he let's see. Yeah, no, he's on the last year of his deal. So, and he was making 3.4, which that is not anything we are going to be paying him. I think he is very much just a rental. Nearmax says Tampa's not that good. Don't be scared. Look, if we beat Tampa, we can win the cup again. I'll tell you that right now. If we beat Tampa in the first round, I'm going to feel like this team can win again. I do anyway. But to me, because of Vasilevsky and the fact that Tampa's got championship caliber guys on it, to me, that's the biggest test. Good point, Craig says. They're still missing Ekblad. The first two games aren't good against Tampa. That's a good point. That's a good point because who are you going to put on that top line for those first two games? If you want to leave, this is a good question. If you want to leave Jones with, you'll put Kulikov. If you're going to leave Jones with Mikkola those first two games, you're going to put Kulikov with Forsling. Yeah, in my opinion. Do you guys agree with that? You guys agree with that? Those first two games, Forsling, Kulikov, Mikkola, Jones, and then Megna Schmidt. I think Kulikov's the most reliable guy to put up there for those two games. And he'll be kind of fresh because he hasn't been playing a whole lot. Craig, you agree? Yeah. Colin says, yeah, if we start against Tampa on the road, you split those two games, I'll feel pretty good. Yeah, that's the name of the guy I'm interested in, Vincent, is Vladar. I think we could coach him up. Meadow says Paul wouldn't do it, but he'll put Olvis or Schmidt with him first. I don't know. I think I remember him putting Kulikov up top with Forsling for a game or two. I think I remember that. No, I don't think anybody's sleeping on Tampa right now. And where was the comment here? Nearmax says we have championship caliber guys too. No disagreement. In a way, there's another way to look at this. In a way, it might be better. Getting Tampa in the first round because that's as healthy as we're going to be, provided Chucky's actually there and ready, right? That's another way to look at it is we're facing Tampa, which could be the biggest test we have there, my opinion, but we're facing them at our healthiest in the playoffs. Could be one way to look at it. Eric says, remember Tampa beat the Panthers 4-0 at home this year. Yeah. Regular season, though, I don't look at the regular season results. All the years that Tampa was beating us in the playoffs, we would beat them in the regular season I just don't look at those games, the head-to-head, that much. Like, I mean, Boston didn't beat us last year, or I mean, we didn't. Yeah, thank you, Kachuk. And last year, Boston beat us 4 times. Simon, no, we're not going to do anything involving money. Nobody's going to have to pay for it or anything like that. It'd just be a bragging rights type of thing. I don't think I could even do it involving money on YouTube. I don't even think they would allow me to do that. Metal says it's just that Tampa has so much more talent and depth, and you can argue their goaltending is better. Well, it's better than it's been. What's Vasilevsky's numbers? What's Vasilevsky's numbers this year? I know Bob has really improved his numbers from where they were earlier in the season. Vasi is at 217 and a 922. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, right? That is, I mean, last year he was at a 2.9 and a 9.0. This is the best season he's had. I hate to say this, but goals against, this is the best season Vasilevsky's ever had, 2.17. He's only had a better save percentage twice. He had 9.25 in 18-19 and 2021. The goals against, the closest he came, he had a 2.21 in 2021. But 2.17, damn. But that works out. That works out because we only score 2 goals a game anyway, right? So we'll just have to win every game 2-1. And that's our I'm joking, but the problem is if I said that in front of Maurice, he'd be like, yep, that's the plan. And that's the joke, is that is actually the plan. Win every game 2-1. Dark changes. Yeah, 2-zip. Exactly, Craig, right? Hey, Jaws, as a Penguins fan cheering for the Capitals in the playoffs, would be criminal to me? Oh, well, nah. Why the Caps? Pick a team that I root for Montreal. I'm rooting for Montreal to beat Washington just for the chaos. Yeah, Metal. He's got better numbers than 50 save shutout game 4 Vasi. Yeah. Niramax says we dominate 2-1 games like no one else. That's the truth. There's no doubt there. No doubt there. It's such a weird dynamic. The stress of, okay, there's 12 minutes left. We're winning 2-1. And Tampa just starts double shifting Kucherov and Point and Gensel and Hedman's out there and it's just like the stress of trying to hold a 2-1 lead with 10 minutes left with all those guys. And I guess it works in reverse too, right? It works in reverse. Like nobody wants to see Barkov and Reinhart and Verhaeghe and Bennett and Kachuk and Marchand and So I get it. Tarek says, I root for Haskell's Capitals are all right. Yeah, definitely. Patrick says, I root against Canada teams for the memes till they break the losing streak, right? Yeah, Trey says, 2-1 was good enough for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and a win is a win. No doubt. No doubt. It's just the stress on the heart. Yeah, the Jets are going to be the President's Trophy team, Owls. They've got that. They've got that kind of wrapped up. Dietrich wants to know if I think the Oilers will take the wild card. I was looking at this yesterday. No. Oh, well, you mean, oh, I see what you're saying. No, I think Oilers, Kings, I think that's going to be pretty much set. Knights, Kings, Oilers. I think that's pretty much set there. In fact, mathematically, I don't think the Flames can't even catch them anyway. Can they? Technically, yeah, if the Oilers lost the rest of their games, they could catch them. But I think the Kings are going to finally beat them. I think the Kings are going to finally beat them. My prediction videos should get some interesting comments, to say the least. Eric says, did the Panthers root for Tampa when we went back-to-back cups? We weren't streaming back then. I wasn't rooting for them to lose. Like, I wasn't like pissed when they won. We kind of felt like Tampa should win. Like, it was kind of obvious they were the best team. Vincent says, Cavs commentators say they are good guys when they score. I don't like that. Capitals have been scoring a lot, no doubt. When you look at their goal differential from last year to this year, it's crazy. It's a 100-goal difference. It's just absurd. But we're a week away, basically, right? We got what, 3 games left, 4 games left? Yeah, we got the 4 games left. We're a week away, and that's it. Emperor King says, Jaws, I got a question. Jets play in the playoffs like the Blues. Could they handle them? Or they go out again? I have kind of felt like the Jets were going to get out of that first round. I think that's going to be the shock. The Jets getting out of the first round and the Capitals losing in the first round. Because nobody's going to be shocked if Winnipeg loses and Washington wins. And there's always a shock in the first round. And other than maybe the Kings beating the Oilers, which would be a surprise, I think Winnipeg gets out of the first round. I know St. Louis went on that run, but whoever Winnipeg gets, I think I don't trust Minnesota or St. Louis. I think Winnipeg might actually get out of the first round. Patrick says the state of Florida streak makes me more likely to root for Tampa if we're out. It's a good point. That's a good point. What a first round matchup. Damn it. Good chucking. That's not going to happen. Dietrich, do I prefer if the Panthers coast tonight or fight for home ice? When does Tampa play again? I got no problem with them going out there and trying to win home ice tonight. Okay. Same number of games played. When and who does Tampa play again? Tampa plays the Wings tomorrow. Oh, come on. That's the second time. You guys remember I talked about this earlier? I wonder how much every time back in years past, a team would come in and get the crap beat out of them by the Lightning and then come to play Panthers the next night, and we would get a beaten down team and win the game. And then now what I've noticed this year is they've reversed it. They have the team play Tampa first. Am I getting this right? No. They have the team play us first, and then the next night they play Tampa. And then I know that it didn't work out in their favor because Toronto won last night. But again, so we play the Wings tonight, and then tomorrow night the Lightning play the Wings. So, and then we did it. They're doing it again. The Lightning's next two opponents are the Wings and the Sabres. Okay? And both of those teams are going to be coming off of games the night before with the Panthers. Come on now. You see what I'm saying? They just did it with Toronto. That means Tampa's going to have played 3 games in a row where the team they're playing played the Panthers the night before. Now, come on, man. By accident? Come on. That smells. That smells. With the Penguins, too? That smells. 3 times in a row. Well, what it means, Eric, is that that's 3 games in a row where Tampa is playing a team that played the night before, so they're more tired because they're on the second end of a road back-to-back. That's crazy. So to answer the question about whether I think we should go for home ice, right now, yes. And I only say that because our last game of the year is against the Lightning, which, by the way, we play the Rangers the night before we play the Lightning. So that's 4 times in a row the Lightning are going to be playing teams on the second end of a back-to-back. 4 times in a row at the end of the season. I'm just realizing this. Yeah, Tampa's last game is against the Rangers. Yeah. And now that won't be on the end of a back-to-back. So you try to win tonight, and that puts you 2 points out, but Lightning have a game in hand. When you get back to Tampa's schedule, they got the Wings, they got the Sabres, and then they have the Panthers, and then they got the Rangers. So I believe the math would work out where if Tampa wins both of their games against the Wings and Sabres, we can't get home ice anyway. Yeah. So for now, see if you can get it. See if you can get it. But if we win, if Tampa beats the Wings, at that point, they'll still be 3 points ahead with 3 games left, and that's just about not going to happen. So it may end up being that by the time we play that back-to-back with the Rangers and the Lightning, we may be eliminated from getting second place anyway. Yeah, Nirmac says, I bet Maurice rests more guys. Bowler says, I just tanked to the playoffs. Most likely, but, well, I mean, they're sitting for Hagee tonight, so they're resting guys. Reading your question, Simon. Oh, going to the tournament overseas. To be honest, I don't know much about that right now. I'll be honest, Simon. I don't know enough about that to speak on it right now. And then Prowagan, yeah, we got that one. I appreciate that. But yeah, Ekblad's skating in practice. If the Habs win tonight, the Rangers and Islanders get eliminated. I believe that's the case. Shouldn't Montreal be able to clinch with 2 points at this point? This will be the last thing. I got to get ready to go. No, maybe not. Islanders, Jackets, Rangers have 79 points. Rangers would be eliminated, but I don't know about the Islanders and the Jackets just yet. Who does Montreal play tonight? They play the Senators tomorrow. Oh, geez. Yeah. If Montreal wins that game, there's a whole nother conversation to be had, because then at that point, Montreal would only be 2 points behind Ottawa. Jeez. Then we definitely don't want the wild card. Or the division, which we can't get the division anyway. So, all right, everybody. Mike says the only person I wouldn't rest is Bob. Yeah, if he wants to play, let him play. Right? Let him play. All right, everybody. Thank you all for hanging out with me. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for all the super chats. Much, much appreciated. Kyle and I will be live tonight for the Wings, and then not live Friday night. I don't think we'll be live Friday night for Ottawa and Montreal, but we'll see how everything goes. We'll see how everything goes that way. So that's it. Members podcast is already up. I appreciate it. Don't forget, started a new channel with my buddy Paul from the Locker Room. Links are in the descriptions. Name of the channel is called Puck Blockers. Our first podcast was out a few days ago. I'm sure we're going to have something up again real soon. Appreciate all the support. We'll see you all tonight. Tonight.